Imagine walking into a massive, dark forest at midnight, shouting hello at the top of your lungs and hearing nothing but the wind. You have been walking for hours, and while the trees are ancient and the ground is covered in life, the silence is deafening. You clicked because you want to know why our shouts into the galaxy have been met with a chilling 60-year silence. Sounds like science fiction. In fact, this is the brutal reality of the Fermi Paradox. The central paradox is that while the universe is teeming with trillions of planets, we have yet to find a single hello back. The obstacle is not just a lack of telescopes, it is a series of great filters that scientists admit might have already deleted our neighbors. Where are you watching from today? Let's map the silence. To understand why the galaxy seems empty, we have to start with the Drake equation. Created by Frank Drake in 1961, this formula was the first scientific attempt to estimate the number of active, communicative civilizations in the Milky Way. It looks at variables like the rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, and the likelihood of life developing intelligence. For decades, we were pessimistic. But NASA's Kepler Space Telescope changed everything. Kepler showed us that there are more planets than stars in our galaxy. Statistically, there should be at least 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting in the habitable zones of sun-like stars. If even a tiny fraction of those developed life, the Milky Way should be a crowded metropolis. This is the first major mechanism of the paradox. The numbers say yes, but the data says no. The second best point to establish here is the age of the universe. The Milky Way is roughly 13.5 billion years old. Earth is a relative newcomer at 4.5 billion years. This means there are star systems in our own neighborhood that had a 5 billion year head start on us. According to NASA's study of cosmic expansion, a civilization with even modest interstellar travel, moving at just 1% of the speed of light, could colonize the entire galaxy in about 50 million years. 50 million years is a heartbeat in cosmic time. If someone had a head start, they should have been here by now. They should have built Dyson spheres, massive shells around stars to harvest energy, that NASA's infrared telescopes would have easily detected. But when we look at the GHAT survey, which scanned 100,000 galaxies for these energy signatures, we found nothing. Wait, before we calculate the odds of our own survival, if you're finding this cosmic detective work fascinating, hit subscribe. We're decoding the cold reality of the cosmos every week. The Great Filter theory suggests that there is a step in the evolution of life that is nearly impossible to overcome. This filter acts as a wall. Life hits it and stops. This leads to the three scenarios of the filter. The filter is behind us. We are the first to pass a nearly impossible step, like the transition from simple cells to complex ones, eukaryogenesis. NASA's study of extremophiles on Earth shows that while life starts easily, complex life is a fluke. The filter is ahead of us. This is the nightmare scenario. It suggests that every civilization eventually reaches a point where it destroys itself. Whether through nuclear war, climate collapse, or gray goo, out-of-control nanotechnology, the filter is a ceiling we haven't hit yet. We are rare, the rare Earth hypothesis. It posits that Earth is a 1 in a trillion combination of a stable moon, a protective Jupiter, and a perfect magnetic field. While we look for life, NASA's TESS mission, Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, is simultaneously searching for technosignatures. These are not just radio waves, but industrial chemicals in an atmosphere or artificial light on the night side of a planet. Most stars in the galaxy are red dwarfs, which are much more violent than our sun. They blast their planets with X-rays that sanitize the surface every few thousand years. This means the habitable zone might be a death zone for 75% of the stars in the galaxy. The real drama lies not in the stars, but in the signal window. We have only been listening for 60 years. In the 13 billion year history of the galaxy, 60 years is less than a blink. We might be like two people trying to talk across a forest, but one person shouted 1,000 years ago, and the other hasn't opened their mouth yet. Focus is your greatest weapon. This is the peak of the truth, the dark forest theory. This is the highest informational value I can give you. The silence might not be an accident, it might be a survival strategy. NASA's search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, assumes that aliens want to be found. But the dark forest theory, popularized by Yu Cixin, suggests the opposite. In a universe where resources are finite and another civilization could become a threat in a few centuries, the only logical move is to stay quiet. If you see another light in the forest, you don't call out. You stay in the shadows, because revealing your location is a death sentence. The climax occurs when you realize our own shouts. For 100 years, we have been leaking radio and television signals into space. We are the loud ones in a silent forest. NASA's Voyager 1 and 2 probes are currently carrying maps of our location into the interstellar void. If the dark forest theory is true, we have spent a century drawing a target on our own backs. The highest informational value lies in the Kardashev scale. This ranks civilizations by their energy usage. A Type 1 uses the energy of its planet. A Type 2 uses its star. A Type 3 uses its galaxy. NASA's WISE mission scanned thousands of galaxies looking for the heat signature of a Type 3 civilization. They found nothing. This suggests that either no one reaches Type 3, or the laws of physics make it impossible to grow that large without being detected and destroyed first. The reality of 2026 is that artificial intelligence might be the final filter. NASA scientists admit that an intelligence explosion could happen long before a species leaves its home system. If biological life is always replaced by silicon-based AI, the aliens we are looking for might not be biological at all. They might be von Neumann probes, self-replicating machines that travel the stars, waiting for a signal. It proves we have created a flow that has value because it is a silent version of a hidden truth. But there is a silent trap waiting at the end of this success. Everything I just showed you about the Great Filter is useless unless you understand the one thing I didn't mention at the start. The Drake equation to the wall of the Great Filter and the hiding of the dark forest. The resolution here is understanding that the silence is an answer in itself. It tells us that our existence is either incredibly rare or incredibly fragile. You now have the roadmap to the silence. You know why the Kepler data makes the paradox worse. You know why red dwarf stars are planetary graveyards. You know why the golden record on Voyager might be a beacon or a blunder. The expert status only comes after the very active work of realizing that we are currently the alien we are looking for. Bring your expectations down to earth. Focus on the fact that we are the only part of the universe that is currently speaking, so your wonder can actually take flight. But there is one thing I did not mention at the start of this video regarding the zoo hypothesis. In 2026, some scientists continue to argue that we are being intentionally avoided. We might be in a galactic nature preserve, where more advanced civilizations have agreed not to interfere until we reach a certain level of maturity. This is the ultimate invisible version of a hidden truth. Navigating the transition from lonely observer to planetary steward is the hardest part of the journey. It requires you to stop being afraid of the silence and start being awed by our own survival. If you can master this perspective, you won't just see empty stars, you'll see a responsibility. Everything I just showed you is a waste of time unless you understand the one thing that truly defines us. We are the ones who didn't stay quiet. The silence of the galaxy is terrifying, but the scale of the universe is even harder to grasp. Watch this video next. It shows you the exact visual breakdown of how many galaxies are actually out there, and why we are just a drop in the ocean. Click it now and I'll see you there.